The bustling lobby of the Grand Horizon Hotel in downtown Chicago was a symphony of polished marble, gleaming chandeliers, and the hum of well-dressed guests. Among them was Claire Bennett, a high-powered attorney in her early 40s, known for her sharp wit and even sharper wardrobe. Her tailored black suit, designer heels, and sleek leather briefcase screamed success. Claire was here for a high-profile client meeting, and she carried herself with the confidence of someone who knew she belonged in places like this. As she approached the front desk, her eyes scanned the room, taking in the other guests. She prided herself on being able to size people up at a glance, who mattered, who didn't, and who was trying too hard to fit in. Her gaze landed on an older woman standing near the elevators. The woman was dressed in a simple floral dress and a cardigan, her gray hair pulled back into a loose bun. She carried a worn tote bag and a paperback novel, and her gentle demeanor stood in stark contrast to the polished, businesslike atmosphere of the hotel. Claire's lips curled into a faint smirk. What's someone like her doing in a place like this? She thought, shaking her head slightly. She returned her attention to the front desk, but the image of the woman lingered in her mind. When the elevator doors opened, Claire stepped inside, her heels clicking against the polished floor. She pressed the button for the 12th floor, where her meeting was scheduled. To her surprise, the older woman entered the elevator as well, standing quietly in the corner. Claire glanced at her briefly, then focused on her reflection in the mirrored walls, adjusting her scarf. The elevator ride was silent, save for the soft hum of the machinery. When the doors opened on the 12th floor, Claire stepped out, her head held high. She was halfway down the hallway when she realized the older woman was following her. Claire slowed her pace, her curiosity piqued. Is she lost? She wondered. The woman stopped outside the same conference room Claire was heading to. Claire's brow furrowed as she watched the woman pull a keycard from her tote bag and unlock the door. Claire hesitated for a moment, then followed her inside. The conference room was empty except for a long table and a few chairs. The woman set her tote bag down and turned to Claire with a warm smile. "Good morning," she said, her voice soft but confident. "You must be Claire Bennett." Claire blinked, caught off guard. "Yes, that's me. And you are?" The woman extended her hand. "Margaret Hayes. I'm the CEO of Hayes Publishing." Claire froze, her hand halfway to Margaret's. Hayes Publishing was one of the most respected names in the industry, and Claire had been trying to land a meeting with them for months. She had expected someone different, someone more like herself, polished, assertive, and impeccably dressed, not this unassuming woman with a paperback novel in her tote bag. Claire quickly recovered, shaking Margaret's hand. "It's a pleasure to meet you," she said, her tone polite but tinged with disbelief. Margaret smiled. "Likewise. Please have a seat." As they sat down, Claire couldn't help but study Margaret more closely. There was something about her calm, unassuming presence that made Claire feel uncomfortable. She had spent her entire career learning to read people, to judge them based on their appearance, their demeanor, their status. But Margaret defied all of her assumptions. The meeting began, and Claire quickly realized that Margaret was every bit as sharp and insightful as her reputation suggested. She asked pointed questions, challenged Claire's arguments, and offered thoughtful feedback. Claire found herself struggling to keep up, her usual confidence faltering under Margaret's quiet but firm demeanor. As the meeting drew to a close, Margaret leaned back in her chair, her hands folded in her lap. "You're very talented, Claire," she said, "but I sense there's something holding you back." Claire frowned. "What do you mean?" Margaret regarded her for a moment, her gaze steady. "You're so focused on appearances, on how people see you, on how you see them. But true success isn't about how you look or what you wear. It's about how you treat people, how you connect with them." Claire felt a flicker of irritation. "With all due respect, Miss Hayes, I've worked hard to get where I am. I don't think I've gotten this far by worrying about how I treat people." Margaret's expression softened. I'm not saying you haven't worked hard, but I've been in this business a long time, and I've learned that the most successful people are the ones who treat everyone with respect, regardless of who they are or what they look like." Claire opened her mouth to respond, but the words caught in her throat. She thought back to the way she had judged Margaret when she first saw her in the lobby, the way she had assumed she didn't belong. The memory made her cheeks burn with shame. Margaret stood, gathering her tote bag and paperback. "Thank you for your time, Claire. I'll be in touch." Claire watched as Margaret left the room, her mind racing. She felt a strange mix of emotions: embarrassment, frustration, but also a glimmer of something she couldn't quite name. For the first time in years, she felt humbled. As she left the hotel and stepped into the bright Chicago sunlight, Claire couldn't stop thinking about Margaret's words. She realized how often she had judged people based on appearances, how often she had assumed she was better than them. It was a painful realization, but also a necessary one. Claire resolved to change, to be more mindful of how she treated others, regardless of who they were or what they looked like. She knew it wouldn't be easy. Old habits die hard, but she also knew it was the only way to truly grow. Sometimes, she realized, the most important lessons come not from lectures or books, but from quiet moments with people who hold up a mirror and force you to confront who you really are. Judging a book by its cover can lead to life-changing lessons. This story reminds us that true success isn't about appearances. It's about how we treat others. If this story made you reflect, leave a like to show your support. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more inspiring tales. What would you do if you were in Claire's shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember, humility is the first step toward growth.